Hey everybody, Edo here, and I am excited because I have Anna Maria on the line. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And for those who don't know, Anna Maria runs all of the social media. She's the social media manager for Pencil First Games.
I am.
And actually, we've been doing this together for a pretty long time. Do you remember what the first campaign was?
I do. It was Skull Hollow because I
Biggest
started working for
campaign
you.
ever.
Yeah,
Saying.
I'm gonna take credit for that, but actually started working for you like a week before that, so that probably wasn't entirely me.
But that was a solid 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've been working together for some time. And in the beginning, it was really focused around sort of some social media stuff, but then these Kickstarter releases. And then as we've sort of Pencil First Games has progressed and had more products and all those things, you've done more of the ongoing, complete sort of social media package. And so heading into, so what is this video about? This video is about on Saturday. I think we're going to post this on Thursday. So like in 2 days or a month ago, depending on when you watch this, we are going to have a Pencil First Games Celebration Day, an all-day online event with streaming and a whole variety of things. And I wanted to talk to you about it because, like, you know, I mean, actually, you've run a number of events and things in the past, which is fantastic. But from a publisher perspective, it was sort of like there are all these online cons. Some of them have been more interesting than others. But, you know, it's sort of gotten to the point, I feel like, where publishers are really in the position that they're building their relationship with their audiences, right? I mean, that was progressively true, but more so now because there's no other place to gather, right?
Right. This year became hyperspeed, where everyone had been moving into social media the last 5 years. This year made it imperative that everybody really kind of up their game.
Yeah, and there's a whole nother conversation we could be having with sales and that kind of piece, but we're not going to have that conversation today. But, you know, so what happened? So basically, these events were going on, and at the same time, I was looking at Pencil First Games as a whole. And if you're not familiar, we've been around for 5 years. We've had a number of Kickstarters, and now we have a couple games, Herbaceous, Skull Hollow, that have sort of like been what you probably would start calling evergreen titles. More Herbaceous, Skull Hollow is pretty recent, but still doing well. But Sunset Over Water and Tori and a number of titles. And as I was looking at the coming year, I wanted to start saying, okay, how are we going to sort of build on this, right? And we were talking as a team, and one of the ideas was like, well, you know, why don't we do sort of like a direct-to-community thing, right? And so, I mean, there have been some bigger publishers that have done it. I think Renegade has done an ongoing one in particular. Can you think of some smaller publishers who have done some of these things as well, or?
I can't really. I know that several have come together under what became Gen Con Live, and then BGG did quite a large one. And some of the smaller, I shouldn't say smaller, some of the content creators themselves have actually gotten together and done ones as well. And then they've used that to feature a lot of smaller publishers, like Shelfapalooza a couple of months ago that I was involved in.
Right. And so hey, so we're trying it out. We don't know the result yet. But it's not really a blueprint, but I wanted to get Anna Maria on the line and just sort of talk through how we came to it and what like the approach was. She's super experienced, but I think if you're a publisher, this is something you got to be thinking about, right? Whether or not you do it, it's something you got to at least consider. You could always do an AMA, you could do a live stream. There's all sorts of like lower bars you can do, and we're not charging any money or anything. So this is like bar 2 or bar 3. But so we were having a conversation about community. Pencil First Games was in a place where we had a number of pages for each game and a Pencil First Games page, and everything was spread out, right? So one piece of this was, hey, let's start consolidating all of the respective fans. So like we're going to get to the convention stuff, but just as far as making the Pencil First Games community page versus the sort of game-by-game pages, like what are some of the things that you were thinking through in that process, and sort of how did you go about starting to move the gears on that?
Well, in particular, you've done an amazing job of curating the games that Pencil First has been publishing all this time. So there was already a little bit of crossover in all of our titles. Usually folks who buy Sunset buy Herbaceous or enjoy Sprouts or whatever. So just from that standpoint alone, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to have these communities like separated from each other. And it does get harder as you get a little bit larger as a publisher and you start to have more and more product out there to maintain individual social media accounts for every single product that you have. So you could potentially get a bot or something to start to keep up your engagement for all those social media channels, but then you lose a little bit of authenticity, which we've talked about before, is really important in social media. People know when you're talking to them. So having kind of a consolidated base not only gives the fans an opportunity to kind of interact directly with the people who are running the show and producing the games, but make it easier on you as a publisher to kind of run all of that. So consolidation of a lot of those things is really helpful.
Yeah, and I think it's been a huge step. So it's not really, I want to talk about the online event, but even just seeing the process of, hey, so specifically, we had a bunch of Facebook pages. We put a bunch of notices that are saying like, hey, at some point this is going away. Please join the Pencil First Games community group, which I'll link and all that stuff. And so, you know, I think right now it's probably 200, 250 people, right? It's not
250.
250, yeah. You know the number. It's not that huge, but these are like cream of the crop people who are really interested in Pencil First Games, right? So we've been able to show early looks at new products, like, and just ask polls and really engage with the community, and in particular start seeing the community engage with each other. And I think that was sort of missing from the other game pages that were more announcement driven. But so I don't think this was too long ago. I mean, I could be wrong, but maybe 6 weeks ago we were having this conversation about, hey, well, maybe it was 2 months ago. And so one step was, hey, let's have a consolidated community page. We know we have a newsletter, so which I've been building up an audience over time. So we knew we wanted to put a newsletter out and draw attention to the event. But a huge part of the conversation was like, okay, hey, well, let's pick a day. Let's figure out when people are available. Not before Thanksgiving, not in Christmas. There aren't that many weekends, so that's why it's this weekend. But so then the real question is like, well, what are we going to do, right? Like, what are we going to do that's going to be interesting for people to engage with? And so, you know, you drove the content a lot, Anna Maria. So when you're thinking about one of these streaming events, if you're a publisher in this case, right? But like, how do you think about the different types of contents you can create and sort of a, you know, if you're not doing an entire weekend, but you're just doing a day event, like, how do you approach it? What do you think about when you are looking at that kind of thing?
To start with, I kind of look at it from the side of the gamer. Most of us are in this hobby because we play games and we like them. So I thought, okay, what do I go to a con for? And if I have to translate that to an online space, how do I do that? So I like to try out new games. So, you know, when you think of that, then how do you do that? Well, if you have a game on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia or something, you can have someone pull up a game table, invite people to come and join you and play the game. So we'll be doing some of that this weekend. Live streams. It's a lot of fun to go to panels while you're at conventions. And so a live stream can basically be the same kind of experience, whether or not you're doing an AMA and just having a bunch of cool folks on the virtual stage that people can ask questions of, or playing one of the games that you have on the digital tabletop with a bunch of other interesting people from the industry, so that people can tune in, and just like a panel, they can still ask questions and things of that nature. That's a lot of fun. So I think those two are probably the most approachable and the things that really kind of bring people in, because it's the closest that we have right now to a con experience.
Sure.
And you can come in your pajamas, which is even better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and I think a little bit about like how I would have done this and how you did it, right? Like I would have been like, okay, well, we'll have people, we have some games on Tabletopia, we updated a few others. Well, let's just we'll play the game and stream a video at a certain time and people will watch. Or like, hey, I guess we can do an AMA. I think the two huge differences Where like, so one is this idea of just sort of making it that continual stream, right? Like building it out so that you sort of have the host running it and going from event to event to event. I don't know that we're going to have people who are with us the whole day. But
we might.
We might, but that level of continuity was really impressive. But then also, we're like, so I reached out and I was like, hey, Scott, can we play the Tory? And if we want to show off the new game, Diverging Paths, can we do that? Hey, Keith, will you play Malpeak with me? And we can show people Malpeak. Hey, Mark, can you show Heroes Welcome? And everyone was like, yeah. And I think to some extent, if we were asking people every weekend, they'd say no. But I've never asked any of these people this ever. So they're like, sure. And we picked a not crazy weekend, right?
Yeah.
But so everyone was like, cool. And then this is where you came in and started scheduling. But then this week, you've been posting these like, oh, hey, Ed's playing with these 4 amazing people. And Keith is playing with these 4 amazing people. And I was telling my wife, it was sort of like, she got like other streamers or people who are really into the game playing space to like participate. What is that process like, right? Like, because if you look at our layout for, this one-day packed events, there's a lot of cool people who are like, I like their content. I've actually never spoken with them in person, but now, how did you reach out, sort of engage with that community?
Well, a lot of it was just literally as easy as going either to their Twitter or what platform they're usually the most active on and sending a message. Some of these folks I have worked with doing collaborations and content creation before, but some of these are people who've just reviewed our games in the past. Ross from More Games Please usually does the pictures for our games.
He's in a special category.
He's like a super fan of Herbaceous, so I knew I could call him up and just be like, hey, you want to play Herbaceous with us? So, and a lot of people felt that way. A lot of the content creators are very engaged with the games that they play. And so if somebody's already kind of a fan or has written a good review of something, they liked it anyway, they probably want to play it with you. So it's pretty easy to reach out and just ask. I mean, and even if they say no, maybe they'll be game for the next one.
Right. Or just share it. But yeah. And so what has amassed here is this. So we have a series of events. There's the ones that are, okay. So if you're interested while I'm running through this video and you're curious because it's in 2 days or it happened 2 days ago, depending on when you watch, what we did, which was neat. So we went through and we've been updating pencilfirstgames.com. I wanted to do that for a variety of reasons. But I was working with our webmaster, Jonathan, and talking about making a page for the event. Secret, cool, little easy thing is it's super simple to set up an iframe that links to a Google Doc. And like the super amazing cool thing about that is you go to a page. It's like, hey, welcome. Look at this iframe, look at this little container, and in here is a Google Doc. So we were able to get the page up, and as we're adding people, as we're adjusting times, we sort of have this live schedule that is reflecting of what the actual event is. And I don't have to bug him every time we want to make a change to that because it's a Google Doc, right? So, if you look at Pencil First Games and you get the PFG day and click on it, it links to the community page. It shows the schedule. But we basically have content where we're doing we have the designer or somebody who is related to the game playing the game with some streamers. So check out, watch. There'll be some chuckles and some jokes. Learn how to play. It'll involve teaching. So there's that kind of content. We have a similar version of that, but like previewing or demoing new products coming down the pipe. And by the way, as an aside, I don't know for sure, but we might even have Foliferous in place for then, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Yeah, we'll have to add it, but we'll see.
What?
Yeah, that's why that iframe is so important. But then there's also these play-alongs, which is a little different. You want to describe them for a second? Because I didn't realize it was as popular a piece of content.
Sure. So the play-alongs, and Jessica's going to actually be doing one for us. Folks at home will be able to print and play their own Herbaceous if they don't have a copy, and play the game along with Jessica. This honestly has become really big this year with COVID and the inability to play games with other people. So channels like Losapalooza have been streaming content where they have the actual physical game and are doing the things like rolling the dice or whatever. And then other people have at home, whether it's just a play sheet for a print and play or just, an extra set of dice or whatever for themselves. And so they can play along with who's ever kind of GMing the game.
Yeah.
It's sort of like mega games at a convention, but it's over Zoom or Twitch or however you want to do it. So
I think that's actually a good. As obvious it is as I hadn't thought of it as a mega game at a convention, but it's very similar to that. And some of them are games where they create unique content. I talked a little bit about this with T when we interviewed whatever it was a couple weeks ago, but it's either a game that is just a solo game, which is really easy, where everyone's playing solo together, or it's a large party game, or it's even not one of these games, but it's a game that the publisher has created the equivalent of a play along. And certainly if you have kid-focused games, there's a lot of ones that are like play along and entertain kids sort of versions of it. Yeah. So we have those. We have a couple of those. In the middle, we have a big AMA, and I basically asked if the different designers and graphic designers and folks who have worked on games, not everyone, but a number of folks, could hang out and answer questions. And I think that's just going to be like anyone joins the channel and asks questions and we're going to answer them, right?
Yeah.
But that's really easy. And then the only other like sort of equivalent is, it's a little different, but at the end, it's sort of like playing with streamers. But Keith and I are going to demo Mall Peak, which is in motion, and we'll just talk about it and go through the process, so that'll be interesting. And I think we have like a kick off and close out type of thing. I think pulling it all together, obviously Pencil First has a number of games, but I think, how did you think, so I guess Jessica is, we were just talking about Anna Maria, how did you think about like the order of the content? Was it about availability? Do you think about the day in any way? Like, how do you, when you're putting that schedule together, like, what are some of the things, if you're thinking about a day, that you would?
So availability was a huge thing, since we did have about 7 or 8 people that we knew we absolutely wanted to be able to attend. So we had to kind of work around schedules there. Another thing is kind of thinking about time zones and the way people structure their days. So what might be peak time for certain areas, and so what content might do better at that time. So our bases, for example, we're kicking off what will be kind of early for you and I. So it's like a nice good morning, have a cup of coffee. But for Ross, it'll be like to wind down his evening, have a cup of tea, and play our bases. So that one was well timed for us.
He can take as many pictures as he wants.
And the AMA is right kind of in the middle of our day, almost like a transition from, hey, we're doing all these gameplay kind of things, to everyone's going to sit down together and we're going to talk about gameplay. And then we'll go back to some more gameplay again. So it's that peak you'd kind of see in a convention as well. So those are, I think, the two driving things when you're thinking about the schedules. And then we're going to end with that amazing Mall Peaks stream, which there's already some rivalry talk there, so I'm really excited about. So that's like our big like grand finale thing. Like people are ready to see, Ed versus Keith, who will win?
Yeah. We've played many games. We have a record that stretches so long I can't even remember where who's on top. But no, it'll be fun, and we're super excited about that game as well. And so and there's a little bit of an assumption, which is, hey, are these are your games available and online in Board Game Arena, Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator? We're going to actually hit, not Board Game Arena, but we'll be on some of these ones, be on Tabletop Simulator, Heroes Welcome is, and then the other ones are on Tabletopia. Oh, no, Herbaceous is yeah. Yeah. So a number of them are on different, and from a publisher perspective, these sort of came in different ways. Like the original Liftoff, the edition that we're going to be using, is when I launched Liftoff, like right when Tabletopia was, starting, and they were like, hey, we want content. Can we like build the game for you? And I was like, all right, that's fine. Whereas Heroes Welcome Mark LeBlanc, the designer, wanted to like go through this process, and he's an engineer, so he like added in a whole bunch of bells and whistles and automatic things. And Scott did Tori. Keith put together the one on Small Peak. So different people have been doing it on their own. It's not, it's become such a ubiquitous tool that you can find different ways to bring it together. Herbaceous, actually, we have a version that we did with our partner Quality Beast that's doing the German and Dutch edition and English. They're not doing the edition, but the Tabletopia or the Tabletop Simulator version is. But there was also just like a fan made one, which is fine,
yeah,
right? Like hey, it plays the game. It's got the cards. They're not selling it, and so those really make these things possible. Having print and plays help. Herbaceous is super light, so like a print and play in Herbaceous isn't like a heavy duty knock out your printer. But other things I can imagine people painting miniatures together. I mean, I think it really depends on what your content is.
Sure.
To really sort of help you stand out. I think
we could do a color along with some of the color sheets that we've got for like Stokala.
Great. Yeah. And so it really just comes down to sort of thinking about the audience and for Pencil First Games, we have a couple sectors, right? There is that, herbaceous sensitive water, herbaceous sprouts, whatnot cabinet, floriferous piece. Then there's sort of, Tory, Heroes Welcome, and then there's also Skull Hollow, and they're not necessarily overlapping audiences, but I still think it'll be fun to engage, and people who are curious will check it out. I think an easy question to ask would be like, you're putting time into this. There is some expense and a lot of effort. Why? Like, what's the KPIs, or what are the metrics that we're judging? And I think from my perspective for this first one, part of it was just doing it. Part of it was like, hey, you mentioned Jessica. Jessica's their new sales manager. Jonathan has been doing the website stuff, but also Kim on the graphic design and the work that you're doing, and sort of being like, hey, before next year when we're going to want to do more of these, let's just let's do something together. Like, have a date and say, hey, we're going to do something in December. What do we have to do to get it done? And I think that was valuable. And then it's really sort of around, hey, engaging with, building the community, starting to, I think if you are a creator or a publisher on Facebook, you're used to the idea that like any other publisher or creator can just ask you a question and you answer it. But I don't know that the general player base is feeling that way. And I think having these events start making it like, oh no, we're going to play with the people who made this stuff and engage with them and get excited. And then if we want to do it again, we can use that Tabletopia thing and play on our own. And so there's no sales target attached to this. We're not, we have like a little get mini expansions for free shipping in the US thing up on our website. But as far as this event is, it's not like we're trying to sell the games concurrently. We're not putting links in the stream. I think the only thing, I suspect, like the only thing we're going to be promoting is either the community page or the BGG links, I would think.
Likely, yeah.
I mean, so when you're thinking about, like, so that's my approach from the like publisher side, which you're also on. But like when it comes to the sort of spearheading this initiative, when you're thinking about like what's a success to you, like how are you going to grade yourself at the end of this in terms of how well it went?
Good community engagement. I think the big focus for cons of this nature, online events of this nature, is to get community feedback, get community engagement. Since this year has been unusual that we haven't been able to go and like physically interact with people who really enjoy our games, this is a great way for both us to get that and for the gamers to get that as well. An opportunity to sit down. We'll have some events that folks can even sign up for to play games if they want. So a chance for people to sit down and try the games out or watch them be played live, to ask questions, to talk to us about things, to get hyped about games and the game community and interact with other people in the community too, which is something we've all kind of been missing out on. So I don't know that I would, especially for the first time, necessarily set a numerical metric. Sure. I would just, so long as as long as people that show up are super entertained and have a great time, and that the number of things that go wrong are at a minimum, because something always will go wrong.
Sure, sure.
But,
Yeah, yeah.
so long as, nothing's on fire by the end, I'm going to consider it a great day.
Yeah, well, I mean, that actually, that aligns with me. I mean, I think based on how it does, it'll be a conversation like, is it once a month? Is it once a quarter? Is it once a year? Is it never again? Like, what does it end up looking like? And how can it be sort of attached to different initiatives, right? So, I mean, obviously, in addition to just playing games that we have in stock that we're looking to sell, we are talking about our big titles for next year, the Tory expansion, Floriferous, and Mall Peak, which it's nice to start engaging with and giving people awareness of those titles, for sure.
Sure.
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I mean, if you're thinking about it or considering, come check it out.
Absolutely.
No, but like look at what we did on the site. You can stop in. You can go to PFG community page, and I don't want to say it's easy, especially because Anna Maria did most of the work. So I don't want to, but like, we decided on a day that seemed right because we have a number of titles, but I feel like if you're a smaller publisher or only have a limited number of games, like I think saying a morning with or an afternoon with and doing an AMA and a play along and a demo, or like, ask me questions, here's what our current game and here's a new game. I feel like there's a space for that, and I feel like it can go on the weekend, but it can go on an evening. Like, you're just creating a little bit of hype and excitement and letting people join. And if you don't overdo it on expectations, and you're like, no, hey, at the end of the day, if it's just all of us playing games together and we hang out for a day, like, that's not a loss. I think that goes a long way. Is there anything else, Anna Maria, that you would think about? Or
I liked how you started out talking about bars, right? And you decide what your current capability is for what bar you could reach. So if you're really like totally unfamiliar with this territory, then go to someone else's event and hang out at their event all day and check out what they're doing. And then do like Ed just said, just do a live playthrough. You can literally just stream your tabletop simulator game to your Facebook page. It's really that simple, and if that goes well and you feel comfortable doing it, try the next bar the next time. So, you don't have to come out of the box with a big 4-day event or anything. You can start small and then you also start to build that community that follows you from event to event. You have the 3 people who watched your very first live stream. And then suddenly, by the end of the year, you've got a couple of 100 folks who are there for your all day event. So yeah, find your bar, and once you've crawled over that one, try jumping over the next one.
For sure. I mean, that step by step, inch by inch. And for sure, if you have any questions, just ask, right? Like, very transparent sharing, software questions. There's also, I haven't done that many, like, streaming / I mean, I think I made one about making videos, but there's a ton of content out there on how to do this, whether it's on YouTube or otherwise. And so it's not that far to find the tools and the technology to do it. And you don't need, cameras. Phones these days get you pretty much the whole way.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
But anyway, hopefully this was interesting. Hopefully you're interested. Please join. If you're actually not a publisher and you're just like one of the community who was like, oh, they're talking about the day I'm going to go to, and now I was like, I learned all this, behind the glass curtain or whatever. Well, whatever that is, behind the
curtain,
Iron Curtain. No, that's the Iron Curtain. That's totally different. behind the curtain. I think it's just a curtain. It's not made out of anything. The green curtain. This is what we're super excited, right? And it's a great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to the content that I'm participating in, because I'm not in everything. But checking out the content from the other designers and the other folks. But then I'm also excited just about meeting people directly. And so, and again, even if this bar is really high, I've found the community page to be great. I've really enjoyed. It's not that big right now, but the conversations, the polls. It's just fun. It's fun to like hear people talk about the things that you've been working on, whether it's one game or multiple games. So anyway, thanks so much for being on, Anna Maria, and for, the event. again, hopefully everything goes smoothly, and I do agree
Cross
something.
fingers.
Yeah, we'll go wrong, but that's fine. Backup content, but and hopefully this was helpful for folks watching, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.